Seconds. Okay, good morning, LinkedIn. We are live here with Nick Sankey from the co-founder of Custom Studio. How are you, Nick? How are you doing? How's your morning been so far?
Yeah, really good. Thank you. Thanks for having me on this. It's always good
Brilliant.
to get involved in things like this. So yeah, really looking
Absolutely,
forward
no,
to
and
it.
it's a learning curve for me too because I've learned so much from the people I've spoken to. So tell me
Oh,
about
good.
your business. Tell me about what you do, your services, and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, so we're Custom Studio. We're a branding and design studio. So I like to describe us as a born out of lockdown, so a bit of a lockdown baby. Um, and it's myself and my business partner Alex. So my background is very much in client services and the strategy side of things, whereas Alex is our creative director, so heads up the creative side of things. So last 12 years I've worked in different design and marketing agencies, mostly in Leeds.
Yeah.
And Alex and I worked together, 12 years ago. I lose count. So
Brilliant.
that's how we met. And then he went off and he went a bit more exotic route than me. So he moved to New Zealand, worked for some ad and creative agencies out there, and then moved back to the UK. And then we kind of during lockdown decided to join forces. So I was on furlough from my job, and Alex was made redundant from his. So it was kind of a meeting of the stars, really. It was kind
Yeah,
of
absolutely.
perfect timing. So we, yeah, I guess how we started, we kind of Alex picked up a project from one of his mates who was looking for some design resource,
Yeah.
and then got recommended another project which he needed some help with. So he came to me, needed a bit of copywriting, a bit of client management, which he doesn't necessarily enjoy that side of it. So asked for my help. And things kind of snowballed really. So that client liked the work, recommended us to someone else. And then we did a really good job, in their words, for them. And he wanted to keep us ongoing with design resource. So we kind of found ourselves in a bit of a position where it was, do we do this full time? Do I go back to my job that I was being brought back from furlough on?
Yeah.
So we kind of just went for it really. And we thought about it, but our thinking was there's always room for more great design. So
Absolutely.
and that's kind of what we want to do.
Awesome.
So
So
yeah, as sorry, go on.
so it's been about what, 4 years that you've been operating and
Just the two now. Yeah, just two. We've
yeah.
just had our second birthday, really.
Okay, so okay, all right. Oh wow. So it's
Yeah,
still a lot younger than I expected. Brilliant. So what is
yeah.
what
So
is
it's
your unique selling point? What makes you different from any other design studio?
this is a question we've kind of obviously been back and forth on quite a lot. I imagine a lot of um, creative studios do the same. And I think there's so many of them, so many design studios, and I think there'll always be someone who says, "Oh, we can do things quicker, or we can do things cheaper. We've got the best process."
Mm.
So I think for us, what we try and lean into is the relationship between Alex and I. Like
Mhm.
this studio was born out of a really good friendship. We were mates first, and that kind of drives everything that we do.
Mhm.
So obviously, we believe that we do really good design work. The strategic thinking is good, and we produce really good work for our clients. But I think it's that process of working with Alex and I, and tapping into that friendship. So the fact there's a really strong trust there, the fact that we're working for each other to kind
Yeah,
of build something really special.
yeah.
And I think that gives us an edge sometimes, when we go into meetings, that we've got that natural camaraderie,
Yeah.
rapport with each other, that we're able to sell ourselves really well.
And that translates into your business when they see that there's that trust between each other. Then they will end up believing that they can trust you if you
Yeah,
guys have such a good level of trust between each other, that the work will be
100%. Yeah.
pretty. So very good. No, absolutely.
Yeah.
So what is your? I mean, when we're looking about when launching a business, you're looking at. Did you have, or do you have a strategy that you've worked towards and that you've developed in your marketing and all that?
Yeah, I think when we first set up, we kind of just got going. I read a lot about people who've got an idea for a business or starting a business or thinking about it, that they delay things until they're perfect.
Mm-hmm.
No, we need the perfect website, or we need the perfect time to do it. We just got going. We had, we didn't bring any big clients with us from previous agencies. We're doing this from the ground up.
Mm-hmm.
We got a sniff of an opportunity and kind of just went for it.
Mm-hmm.
So everything we're doing, we're kind of learning as we're going along, which I think is really good. So the thing that we've worked really hard to do is look at our process and how we can create products almost for our clients within our process. So the strategy phase, the creative phase, or thirdly, if it might just be designing certain marketing materials. The client might come to us and they've already done all the big brand piece. They need sales materials. They need a website. They need things to go into a pitch with for investors, for example, social media assets. So I think our first strategy was, now that we're up and running, let's create these almost phases for our clients where they know what they can come to us for. They know that we can plug in at whatever stage of their journey that they're at. And we can really contribute and make a difference. So that was kind of stage one. I think in terms of marketing ourselves, this, again, I'm sure you've spoken to a lot of people in the creative industry about this, where it's a challenge. New business is always a challenge, I think.
Yeah.
And I would say 95% of our work has come from referrals. So from the first project.
You do a lot of networking, online networking, and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I think first and foremost, it was, our first project, we did a good job. They recommended us, we did a good job. And then, or someone sees that work in a similar industry and likes it. So that's where most of our work has come from. So I think, first and foremost, the marketing strategy should be just do really good work.
Absolutely, yeah. So I was
just going to say, it's funny, really. I was coming into this conversation. I was, just looking over kind of the last couple of years, really, last night, and I look back on some of the work we've done, and I'm just really proud of it. I look at our website, and I think I do think the work's really good, and
awesome.
And I think that should be the starting point for any marketing, is just do work you're really proud of. And
especially on a website where everything is very visual, it needs to be really outstanding in many regards and all that kind of stuff. So from a your customers, a lot of them, you say you got from referrals and all that kind of stuff. But do you have a strategy where you actually looking on targeting a specific type of customer or a specific market?
Market wise, not necessarily. So this was something that Alex and I discussed in length about whether we should niche. Are we an agency for X sector, Y sector? We felt that being branding and design was quite niche anyway. We're not full service. We don't do everything. And what we try and do is look for businesses that are at certain parts of their journey. That's our ideal customer, really. So we found most success with businesses that are maybe 1 year, 2 years in. They've set up, they've had a really good start. They've got business, they've got customers, they've got clients. And now they're like, we need to really take ourselves to the next level. And we feel really strategic branding is the way to do that. We need to look at who we are as a business, how we're communicating with the clients that we've got, but also how do we reach new clients now? And that's kind of been the most success for us, coming in, and we can come in at that point and really help make a difference, and that's quite exciting, I think, for us. But we have worked with also startups who are just looking to get going and might need just a real baseline just to get going. I guess it's that thing we were talking about earlier. It's not everything has to be perfect to get going.
Yeah, absolutely.
So we kind of target. We've got, in terms of reaching out to and marketing, we've got lists of businesses that we really want to work with.
Yeah.
And we just, either connect with them, they stay in the network, or sometimes we just reach out and say, hey, I really love your business. If you ever need any support, please consider us. And sometimes it works, sometimes you get ignored. It's one of those.
That's the nature of it. I mean, now there's two of you in partnership, and you briefly touched on this earlier. But how would the two of you manage your day to effectively, to working together? How would you? Yeah. How does your role and your business partner's role? How do they work separately, and how do they complement each other?
Yeah, we kind of, I think one of the reasons why it does work so well and why Alex wanted to work with me, hopefully, and I wanted to work with him, is because our skill sets are so different. So first and foremost, Alex is the most talented designer I've worked with in my career, hands down. And I think a lot of other people say the same also. So I know it's not just me that thinks that. So that was the primary driver wanting to work with him. And I think him, for me, I plug in to different skill sets that he hasn't got. So the admin side, maybe the financial side, and the running of the business, if you like. But also maybe the nuances with the clients that he's not had exposure to, that I've got as well. Although I'm happy with all our projects, you do get into tough situations with deadlines, with timings, things like that as they go on. So you need someone who's able to manage that and also relay information effectively to the clients.
Absolutely.
But also, on the branding projects, I think my copywriting side, my strategic side also works nicely with Alex's creative side. And it works really nicely.
Yeah, brilliant.
So I think day to day on the projects, it's a nice balance. Awesome. But also as friends as well, that's I kind of mentioned it earlier. That for me is one of the biggest things. Being able to just be honest with each other. We're not necessarily motivated purely by money.
Yeah, that's very important as well. It's just to be able to openly and just tell each other how it is.
There has been a couple of those moments, but which is good. I think
awesome.
Neither of us are offended too easily, so we can just be open and honest. And if we want to build a successful business, if we want to do the best work for our clients, that should start with honesty with each other, so we can be honest with clients also.
Absolutely. So building your design and that, what platforms do you mainly use, and what type of software do you focus on? WordPress? Do you focus on Webflow, Wix? Where are you? And have you incorporated AI into your design flow?
Good question. Yeah, I think for us, obviously, most of the work we do is the initial branding stage. So we kind of do that strategic phase into the design phase, so things like logo development, tone of voice development, the design system. So a lot of the software we use is based around that. So InDesign, Illustrator, and all the Photoshop, obviously, and kind of all the design platforms. If we're doing websites, we've just done one actually on Webflow, which worked really well. So yeah, quite liking that as a platform from a website perspective. AI, I'm conflicted with AI really. I think people say, "Oh, it's going to steal designers' jobs." I think it'll steal bad designers' jobs probably. I don't think it will steal good designers' jobs. It's not something we use particularly. I mean, a bit of Chat GPT to, as an idea generation, I've dabbled with. I think it's very. I still think it's very robotic. You don't get that human element from it, and I don't know what you think. I know from a website perspective as well.
I think, and I don't know. I mean, this is. I've heard a lot of designers and a lot of web people saying, "Oh, that's our job's going. We all finished. That's it. We're out of work." And you kind of think, I see AI as an additional tool. Time is money, and in our world today, so when somebody comes to you and say, "Oh, I want this type of website," AI helps you create a skeleton website really quickly, so you don't have to sit and do all the hard coding like in the past. So you can do a quick things, show it to the customer. Customer says, "Brilliant." Then you still have to modify it. You still have to do all the SEO. You still have to put the custom images. So for me, AI is more of an added tool I can use. I don't know how you feel about that.
Yeah, I agree completely. I think Alex, business partner, will know this better than I with things like coming in the Photoshop and Adobe AI things, adding in the backgrounds and all that sort of stuff. I think can be a really nice tool and save time. And as you say, time is money. So if you can do things in 10 minutes that previously took an hour or 30 minutes, then that's only a good thing. But I personally don't think good designers are in danger of losing their jobs over it.
I don't.
People buy from people at the end of the day.
Exactly.
And you just lose that human touch completely. And I actually think we're going, from a branding perspective, I think we're going more towards like impactful storytelling and be able to tell a story with your brand. Every marketplace is so crowded. People have got to be able to emotionally connect with you.
Yeah.
I think the human element's going to start becoming even more important. Ironically,
I fully agree with that. That because people want to buy from people. People want to know that somebody's there that cares, and that is just a part of this whole video series, is to show the person behind the website. Because everybody on the internet is you've got a flat website. People don't see the person behind the website, and that's what I'm hoping to draw out with this video series, is the person behind the business, the person behind the screen. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. It's quite funny you should say that. Really, we've on our About Us page on our website, we've just got a little bit about our friendship and why we started the studio, and then a core team. So it's Alex and it's Nick, and we've just got a few bullet points about us. And the most I've had maybe 4 comments about that page, and the fact that on Alex's it's got slightly better at ping pong than Nick, and mine's got less good at ping pong than Alex. It's not even grammatically correct. And it's just, I think if you just show you're a bit human and you're not there just stuffy and corporate and taking yourself seriously, then I think that can go really far.
Well, I don't know if have you ever heard of a guy called Neil Patel? He's a big SEO guy, fantastic guy, and he's done really well. If you look at his websites, he ended up selling to SEMrush, one of his websites. And if you look at all his websites, he's always got himself on the websites talking. And people love that because they want to see the human side of it. Yeah. So I mean, from a marketing, marketing the studio, marketing yourself to customers, what would you say is the most effective way of not only reaching customers, but also retaining your current customers?
So I think the retention one's the easiest one to answer there for us. It's just do good work, make sure you truly understand what your clients want. I think a lot of people are too quick to go in and either pander to their client, so the client tells them what they think they need and they just do it and it's not the right solution, you're better off being honest with your clients. But also recommending things that make them the most money and aren't actually good solutions.
Yeah.
So I think being honest and transparent and just doing a good job for your clients, and then just giving them great service, within reason. I think, this industry is known for going above and beyond, maybe a bit too much with the hours worked and that sort of thing. But I still think you can give great service and not stress yourself to the point of breaking.
Yeah.
So I think client retention, that's the most important thing. In terms of reaching new clients, I think for us, making sure we've got our work on the website, making sure we're putting it out there on socials, and making sure we've got, lists of ideal clients that we like, that we want to work with. Even if it's not those specific brands, it's the type of client, and we know what to say to them. But for us, that's the golden nugget. That's an ongoing process of some things work, some things don't. That's every day's a school day on that front. Definitely.
So can you share with me a memorable positive feedback you've had, or a memorable moment you've had with a customer that's just stuck in your brain?
Yeah, I think the biggest one is one of our first big branding projects.
Yeah.
And it actually came to us really randomly. So talking about the marketing side, when we first started, we did a quick little video, like intro to custom studio. It was like, hi, and it was a few bits of work, put it out on Instagram, and then I think put 50 quid in like a paid promotion on Instagram. No idea what we were doing. We just did it. And we got an email a few days later from someone that had seen it. And he'd been looking at design studios on Instagram because he wanted to rebrand his hospitality marketing tech company. And so he just saw it and was like, I liked it. Can we chat? That turned into a project. So that was a full rebrand, a website design and build, and app design.
Good.
So within a few months of starting, we kind of just randomly picked up this massive project, massive for us. And we actually caught up with him a few months ago, and that's been a year since we finished that rebrand.
Yeah.
And he said since that year, they've grown, which is great. They've now got big players in the hospitality restaurant industry reaching out to them directly, wanting to work with them. And you can't always put it directly down to having a nice brand or him investing in the rebrand, but it certainly wouldn't have done any harm. And I think it is a big factor in it. And, he puts it down to that too. So for us, that was a really important one because
it's got a good boost, isn't it?
Yeah. And
it's a confidence boost.
A confidence boost for sure. And sometimes it's hard to convince clients that investing money in that rebrand is going to pay off long term. So when someone comes to you 12 months later and said, oh, actually, this has paid off for us, in the last 12 months, that's something really powerful for us to tell other clients.
Absolutely.
And a real confidence boost for us that we're doing the right thing as well. We're still a young company, so there's still always those doubts there, of have we done this right? Or is the process right? So that was really nice. So that's the biggest one I would say for us. Well, for me personally, Alex may have a different one, but for me, no.
So the lessons that you've learned with starting up your business, what advice would you give to anybody who was setting out this year in 2023?
That's a great question. Good question. I think don't wait for the perfect time, but also don't do anything rash. I think there's a balance between those two things. You see some people on like social media, like just quit your 9 to 5 and live your perfect life, running your own business. I don't think it works like that. But if you've got an idea, if you're confident in your ability, and you feel like that's something you want to do, then just go for it and give it a go. The first step is always just starting. Don't wait for it to be perfect. I think procrastination, my website needs to be perfect, as I was saying earlier, or
Yeah.
I need to wait until all these things are in place in my life before I do it. You just end up not doing it.
Exactly.
But I think if there's more positives than there are negatives, then just get going and do for it and do it. But once you've done it, make sure you're planning properly. Make sure you're learning from the mistakes.
Yeah.
Don't be stubborn. I think that's a big one.
Yeah, definitely.
We've made mistakes, not catastrophic ones, but they're still mistakes. And if you don't realize them, if you've got no self-reflection, then I think it's difficult to learn and improve and make sure you're not making them again and again.
And that's key. That's key, that being able to look back and reflect on those mistakes and say, I made this mistake. How do I avoid doing that again? Yeah.
And don't beat yourself up about it. I think every day is a school day. I would say, like, just learn from it and just say, okay, that's just something I know for next time.
Definitely. So going forward, what is the future of Custom Studio? Where do you see, what do you aspire to be? Where do you see yourself?
So Alex and I are both on the same page in terms of growth. So we want it to be maybe a slightly elevated lifestyle business. We've got no plans to be 20, 30 people. I don't think either of us want the stress of that. So we want to be a nice small studio, maybe 4 or 5 people, and just doing really good work. We're able to take on the projects we want to take on, where we can truly make a difference to our clients, working with clients that value the process, value what we can do for them, what great design does, what great communication does, that want to work with us and enjoy that. Ideally with businesses that are trying to do good things in the world. That's the ultimate goal. Those are hard to come by. Everyone wants to work with those sort of businesses, but as a long-term thing, that's where we would like to be. But I think short-term, we want to try and get a couple more projects in where we can then hire another designer to support Alex on the creative team. The way we work at the minute, it's the 2 of us, and then if we need to scale up with freelance resource, we do that. If we need to plug in with gaps in our knowledge, for example, like video and those sort of things, we do that also. So for us, it'd be nice to get in another designer to support on the creative team, maybe that can that's got a good digital knowledge, good motion knowledge, or something like that really complements our skill set and helps us grow.
Yeah. Brilliant. So how do you keep as you're growing, it is important because the digital landscape changes on a at least, I think Google changes their algorithm at least 2 or 3 times a year. How do you keep your finger on the pulse to keep up with the trends that are going on in the industry?
Yeah, I think we're both, Alex and I, more so Alex obviously is a design, but keep up with design trends, the blogs, the creative sites. Alex is super passionate about design, which is one of the things why I love working with him. So he's always kind of looking at that side of things. But I think with trends from a design point of view, also that can be a negative. And funnily enough, we were talking about this yesterday in a networking event on Tuesday evening as well, that someone does something in a business and then a client comes to another agency and goes, I really like that, can you do something similar? And it's like, but you're in the same industry, like, why do you want to look the same as someone else? And I think that's where the balance needs to be had in terms of design trends anyway. The whole point of coming to a creative agency is that they can help you stand out, do things that other people in your industry aren't doing, saying it differently, selling it differently, looking differently. So I do always find that like quite amusing, really, that you end up after a year or 2 of all businesses in a certain industry that have gone to creative agencies can look very similar, which I think is counterproductive, especially with the money they spend. But
absolutely. I mean, I was spoken to somebody else a few days ago, and exactly the same sentiment that you had there. is people so much want to look like everybody else. We need to be different to stand out from the crowd. You need to be different. If everyone wants a black dot, being a black dot's not going to make you stand out. You need to be a luminous green dot to stand out. Yes.
Yes.
To put in that analogy. So, what advice would you give any business owner at this stage where you are? What type of advice could you share with somebody listening?
Know who you want to target in terms of your own client base. Again, as I've said before, that's kind of always an ongoing thing for us, learning who that is and what they want to hear from you, and how you can put across how you can help them. So I think that's something we're trying to put into practice also.
Yeah.
But just, I can't give advice on, anything other than creative businesses. Really, I wouldn't say I'm in a position, but I think if you're a creative business, if you're a service business, just put real emphasis on the work you do and take pride in it. Just love what you do, and then when you put that out there to the world, that will really show.
Yeah.
And
definitely.
As we've said, people buy from people, and they can tell when love's gone into work, when you care about what you do. You're not driven by just money or making a quick buck or those things. If you love what you do, and you put that into everything that you're doing, then that will show, and people will recognize that and buy into it.
Absolutely. Thank you very much, Nick. It's been wonderful having you on here. If anybody is watching this video, if anyone's watching the video, at the bottom of the video is all Nick's contact details and his website. Feel free to contact him and do business with him. I mean, this is the point of these videos, is to draw the business people out. Before we sign off, Nick, any last pearls of wisdom that you want to share?
Not wisdom necessarily, but just thanks for having me on. And if there's anyone that wants to reach out with we're always looking for great freelance resource also. So if there's anyone wants to connect and just chat about potentially working together, client or or supplier, then always up for meeting new people and helping each other out in that way. Teamwork makes the dream work. So that's my last words of wisdom.
Brilliant stuff. It's good to have you on, and
thanks so
thank you
much
for anyone who's been listening and watching these videos. It's been great speaking to Nick from Custom Studio. Have a good day, everybody, and don't go off yet, Nick. I'll catch you once we come offline.
Cheers.
Okay. See you.
Thanks, Dwight.